So a few years ago, I started getting into working in comic books, and I started working with comic book covers before I did any kind of interiors. And I remember this was maybe my second comic book cover that I ever worked on, and it was for a Mega Man comic. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Mega Man video game or the cartoon. I never played video games growing up, but I remember I used to love the cartoon when I was a kid. So this was really cool for me to come up with ideas and create like a really fun Mega Man cover. So here were some quick ideas that I came up with, as well as a little extra over here. This is, like I said before, I took them into the computer and refined those ideas. I think ultimately I sent over probably 3 or 4 ideas. This one, if you could even see, this was the one that eventually got picked. But this was the first sort of thumbnail of this idea that I made, and then I refined it in the computer and sent it over and then finished it digitally. The slight bummer about this job, side note, was that originally I thought it was going to be sort of my interpretation of the Mega Man character, but after the idea was picked, I was informed that unfortunately I had to draw Mega Man in the house style, just because Mega Man is a very recognizable property, and the company that owns Mega Man doesn't want him being depicted any other way. So, little side note. I made the best of it, and it was actually like a really fun exercise in drawing in a different style for me. Sketchbooks can also be used as exercises. These were some Alex Toth studies that I did a few years ago. Alex Toth is probably my all-time favorite comic book artist. I just love the way he balances black and white, uses pens and brushes. But these were some Alex Toth studies that I worked on. I really like the way he rendered the hair over here. I really love the way he balanced the composition. I think these were a little more Toth studies. This was an idea for a print that I made just for myself. This was a Peter Pan idea. Growing up, I was a huge Peter Pan fan, so I wanted to make a piece of Peter Pan art, and Peter Pan happens to be in the public domain, so I thought I could make a poster of Peter Pan without getting into trouble. Of course, it can't be the Disney version of Peter Pan, but it can be your own version of Peter Pan. So I was coming up with some ideas, and this one just seemed to have sort of like, it just felt right just from the start. So I really loved this sort of seed of an idea here where Peter Pan is kind of like sitting under a tree and he's looking at a very small, sort of, I guess, Tinkerbell type of fairy. So I just literally took that, and I think I just scanned that in and refined the sketch on top of that. Here was an idea for a print that I never wound up making, but anytime I come across this drawing, I think that there's some potential here for something kind of interesting. I'm not sure what yet, but perhaps I could go back and try to rework this and finish it one day. It's almost hard to talk about some of these just because there's such rough scribbles. But again, these were really rough ideas that I had after reading an article. This was for an article that I illustrated for the Wall Street Journal. And this was a few years ago, I can't remember exactly what this was about, but it had something to do with an older man playing basketball with younger, bigger guys, something like that. So after I read the article, I made a bunch of rough sketches, and eventually something came out of it, and the finished art was something that the client was hopefully happy with. They printed it. One of these I got for free when I was at Blick Art Store. They had like a spin the wheel kind of raffle thing, and I won a free sketchbook, and I thought that that was pretty cool. Here's some more ideas for a comic book cover. This was for a cover for The Archies, which was a mini series by Archie Comics, which is Archie and his friends who have a band, and they're called The Archies. Um, these are some really quick ideas that I came up with. So again, these are like real scribbles, but I was trying to just figure out ways of composing all the characters, mainly like 5 characters, into a composition that is interesting and kind of cool looking. So this one over here, if you could see, this was, I think, the seed of the sketch that eventually got picked and turned into the final cover. I like small sketchbooks like this because I could just kind of carry them around easily. And if I sit in a park real quick on like a break or something like that, I can just draw what I see. And this was a sort of an example of that. This is a really big sketchbook. I'm not even sure this could fit in the frame completely. Normally, I don't get hardcover fancy sketchbooks like this, but this one was a gift, so I definitely tried to utilize it as best I could. I feel like this one I use mainly for at-home drawing. I don't like to really lug this thing around, although I have taken it with me to several figure drawing classes, and it's kind of cool because you could fit a whole bunch of like 3-minute poses on one sheet, so that's kind of cool. It's just really heavy to carry around. This is kind of like that fancier paper, so I feel like maybe I can take advantage a little bit more of some brush and dry brush and different things like that. But mentally, I try to stay in the frame of mind where, you know, I try not to make things too precious. As you could tell, I just reworked this pose a few times without feeling like it had to be a finished, complete drawing. It's still a sketchbook. These are some, I think, random brush drawings I was doing at night, one night, getting some quick ideas out. Here's some more figure drawing, like I was mentioning. You get a lot more poses on one page when the sketchbook's this big. I like to experiment with tools that maybe I feel like I'm not really ready to use for my professional work yet. So I like to use colored pencil, and I think I'm always still trying to improve how I might use that in a more finished way. So I'm pretty sure this was me trying to figure that out a little bit. Obviously, these are still really rough, but I think I was trying to figure out how I might use some of that texture and apply it to some of my more black and white ink drawing. Veronica Lodge. I recorded this and made a video of it. You could check that out on my channel. I'll try to link it below if I can remember. These were like film stills that I was working off of. I really like the lighting in this one and like some of the reflective shadows of like leaves. And it was kind of driving me crazy that I couldn't get it right. So I think I drew this one a bunch of times. Here was an ink drawing I did of it, and I didn't like it, so I tried to rework it here. And I think I drew it one more time. And then I reworked it again. So I don't know. Which one's the best? First, second, or third? I'm not really sure still. I'd actually like to do it again. See if I can get it right. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that look at my most recent sketchbook as well as some of my sketchbooks throughout the years. I am a primarily digital artist nowadays, so I don't get to draw with traditional tools as much as I would like to anymore, but sketchbooks I found can still be very useful in my process. I still say whatever's most comfortable for you, just use that. Whatever helps you generate ideas the best, just use that. I kind of go back and forth between sketchbooks and digital. But yeah, I figured I would let you know what this stuff kind of looks like, since most of the work that I've been showing is more of my digital approach to things. So let me know if you enjoyed this, and if you'd like to see more videos like this. Maybe I can share some original art or different things I have lying around my studio. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.